it's seeing me. I was going to say, right now I'm seeing
I'm sorry, I'm underestimating your height. I'm sorry.
I have flats on. Now, if I had heels on, I'd be clear up there. See, if I had heels on, I'd be as tall as. Super flat. Okay. Okay. Mute all devices. Please mute all devices.
Welcome to the temple, welcome to the sanctuary. You don't have to worry, just come on in. Welcome to the presence, welcome to the family. You know, you don't have to hesitate, you just come on in. Come on in, sit down. Yeah, I saw you peeking through the window. I bet you're wondering just what's going on. So quit your sneaking around, this is where you belong. And open up the doors now. Welcome to the temple, welcome to the sanctuary. You don't have to worry, you just come on in. Welcome to the presence, welcome to the family. You know, you don't have to hesitate, you just come on in. Come on in and sit down. Yeah, now did you notice all around you? And did you hear all the voices praising song? I bet you catch yourself dancing and sing along. And let your body groove now. Welcome to the temple, welcome to the sanctuary. You don't have to worry, you just come on in. We said, welcome to the presence, welcome to the family. You know, you don't have to hesitate, you just come on in. Come on in and get down. To the beat now, welcome, welcome, come on in. Everybody say 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 welcome, welcome, come on in. Come on in and sit down. I said, sit yourself down.
And so welcome everyone, come on in and sit down. And so thank you especially to Dan, Holly, and Pete for the wonderful music that we are blessed with every week, especially here in person. So thank you also to Reverend Jackie, who will be talking about vulnerability, the starting point for connection. That's a big topic, and so we're definitely looking forward to what Jackie will be sharing. And we are also grateful to Jason for our tech support today and to our family ministry. Diane and Gail are with the children right now, and so we are a growing, vibrant, thriving community that embraces and really calls in and celebrates people of all descriptions, all ages, all sizes, all shapes, all everything. And so welcome everyone. And we are here to provide tools, spiritual tools, to make it through the day. And by embodying those tools, it's easier for us, yeah, I can't get all that extra. Okay, easier for us to live a vibrant life, live a life that is not only uplifting to us, but to all around us. And so all are welcome, and we are delighted that we are here together. And we have a new affirmation, declaration of sorts, and that is grow Metro. So 1, 2, 3. Grow Metro! Now, isn't that easy, and doesn't it feel great? Yeah, actually, I didn't have to read it. Okay, so let's do it again. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Grow Metro! Yeah, it's a cheer. Cheer, yes. So we are delighted to be here together, and keep your cell phone handy and muted, and that way you can let others know what's going on and invite them to join us. This service is being recorded and will be played on Facebook later today. So with that, we do have an affirmation that we have done often enough, so God willing, it's going to come off right, and that is, follow after me. There is a power for good in the universe.
There is a power for good in the universe
that is greater than I am.
that is greater than I am.
And I am using it now.
And I am using it now.
I am using it to do my part.
I am using it to do my part.
To create a world that works for all.
To create a world that works for all.
Together, we inspire individuals.
Together, we inspire individuals
To awaken to their own divinity.
to awaken to their own divinity.
We are here to make a huge difference. We are here to make a huge difference. So, thank you. And we are going to shift from the Grow Metro energy to taking this time to shift to going to the stillness, to going to a place of centeredness. And so I invite you, if it's comfortable, put your feet on the ground. For some people, that isn't particularly comfortable. So find the position that is comfortable for you. And allow your hands to rest supported. And now allow your eyes to close gently or defocus, whichever works for you. And now come to an awareness of your breath. And draw your attention to your nose, to your nostrils. And just focus there and feel your breathing. Feel your inhale. Feel your exhale. Consciously slow your breathing. But keep the focus on your nostrils. And now gently part your lips and moisten your lips. And breathe in through your nose and feel your breath passing through your lips, exhaling through your mouth. And just be in this beautiful moment. Be in this now new moment. Just be here now.
I will make a quiet place, a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still and know. I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place. I will make a quiet place.
And so remaining in that quiet space, in that quiet place. We come to the quiet not because there's any more God in the quiet, but because there's less of us in the quiet. And so in that quiet space, it is so easy to recognize that it is all God. God expressing in, as, around, through, and throughout all that is, expressing itself, that all of creation is inlet and outlet of that one divine presence. I like to take a moment in that and remember that this moment is the only moment. For this moment unfolds to this moment, to each new now moment. And when we take with us that we are each individuations of this one divine, then all that unfolds in our lives unfolds for our greater good, our greater awareness. And this morning, as Reverend Jackie is speaking, is sharing her wisdom with us, is sharing the groundedness in spirit, knowing that as we remember who we are, as we remember what we are, then we trust, we expand. And so I know our day is expanded by Reverend Jackie's message and by our leaning into that wisdom. So for all of this, I'm so grateful. I simply release and let it be. And so it is. And so, speaking of vulnerability, our reading for today is from Brene Brown's Daring Greatly on the topic of vulnerability. Gee, are you surprised? Anyway, Myth number 1, vulnerability is weakness. The perception that vulnerability is weakness is the most widely accepted myth about vulnerability and the most dangerous. When we spend our lives pushing away and protecting ourselves from feeling vulnerable or from feeling perceived as too emotional, we feel contempt when others are less capable or willing to mask feelings, suck it up, and soldier on. We've come to the point where rather than respecting and appreciating the courage and daring behind vulnerability, we let our fear and discomfort become judgment and criticism. Vulnerability isn't good or bad. It's not what we call a dark emotion, nor is it always a light, positive experience. Vulnerability is the core of all emotions and feelings. To feel is to be vulnerable. To believe vulnerability is weakness is to believe that feeling is weakness. To foreclose on our emotional life out of fear that the cost will be too high is to walk away from the very thing that gives purpose and meaning to living. Our rejection of vulnerability often stems from our associating it with dark emotions like fear, shame, grief, sadness, and disappointment. Emotions that we don't want to discuss, or even when they profoundly affect the way we live, love, work, and even lead. What most of us fail to understand, and what took me a decade of research to learn, is that vulnerability is also the cradle of the emotions and experiences that we crave. Vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. It is the source of hope, empathy, accountability, and authenticity. If we want greater clarity in our purpose or deeper and more meaningful spiritual lives, vulnerability is the path. And so, speaking of vulnerability,
I'm looking ahead with my eyes wide open, with my mind wide open, with my heart wide open. Sing with me. I'm looking ahead with my eyes wide open, with my mind wide open, with my heart wide open. Some people live in fear. They do not want to hear the voices of diversity. I try to just let go, to live life in the flow, avoiding all adversity. So today I say, without hesitation, sing with me. I'm looking ahead with my eyes wide open, with my mind wide open, with my heart wide open. I'm looking ahead with my eyes wide open, with my mind wide open, with my heart wide open. Some people live in pain, projecting outward blame. Their eyes are closed and do not see. I'm praying every day, affirming love, not hate, acknowledging God's tapestry. So today I say, without hesitation, with my mind wide open, with my heart wide open. Yeah, Frank, I'm looking ahead, with my eyes wide open, with my mind wide open, with my heart wide open. I feel myself at peace and sending to the world. I feel myself in love. I recognize the worth of everyone on earth, of every single soul. Together we are whole. Together we can see. We're looking ahead with our eyes wide open, with our minds wide open, with our hearts wide open. We're looking ahead with our eyes wide open, with our minds wide open, with our hearts wide open. Last time. We're looking ahead with our eyes wide open, with our minds wide open, with our hearts wide open.
And so at this time, I am delighted to introduce, that doesn't seem like the right term, just greet Reverend Jackie to the podium.
Oh, thank you. Wow, thank you for the incredible music and for the tech support and just for Reverend Trish being the spiritual leader of this great organization, Centers for Spiritual Living Metro, here in the Washington, D.C. metro area. So Centers for Spiritual Living as an international organization has a theme for this year, and the theme for this year is living out loud. And when I first saw that, I thought, well, what do they want me to do? Start shouting and just, being really boisterous? And it's like, no. What it means, yes, in a way it is. Because what it means is I'm going to live out loud this teaching. I'm going to live these spiritual principles. And so this entire year we're looking at how do we live these spiritual principles. There's a power and there's a presence that is behind us that is always there. It's all the possibilities of the entire universe is at our disposal. And when we learn to live this, we learn to utilize that. And some of the, what hit me as I was preparing for this is like a quarter of the year is behind us now. Already. Yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh, I've got to get going. I've got to live this more. And so, we've looked at some fundamental principles. In January, we were looking at fundamentals. It was called Root and Reboot, and get familiar with what these spiritual principles are. And then we looked at curiosity and how curiosity is a superpower, because when we become curious about ourselves, about how the universe works, how the law works, and we become curious about others, we start to open up all these possibilities. And then we looked at authenticity last month. We spent the month looking at how do we become our authentic self. Not become, because we already are. How do we open ourselves up to being that authentic self? And it starts with vulnerability. So we're going to look at that today. We're going to start a new adventure of coming to understand the power of vulnerability, because that reading that Reverend Trish read today, one of the biggest myths about vulnerability is if I'm vulnerable, I'm weak. And so what we're going to look at is why that's not the case. So we're going to explore it. We're going to look at what it is, what it is not, and we're going to look at why is vulnerability so important. So I'm going to step back a little bit. In this teaching, we have a statement, and I brought my Science of Mind magazine, so if you do get this, in every copy of Science of Mind, there is a page that's called What We Believe. And in it are the spiritual principles that we believe in. And one of those that I'm focusing on right for myself this month in vulnerability is the one that we believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. So the more we become conscious of the heaven being within us, of good, of love, of peace, of joy, of harmony, the more we experience it. And vulnerability is the step to get there. Our essence, the essence of all that we are, is the ability to express this full life within us, to express it more fully and more freely. Because back of all of us, back of every one of us, is the potential of the universe. The potential of the universe. In Creative Living, Ernest Holmes says it, that there is an irresistible potential pressing against everyone for self-expression. If we listen, we shall hear it, not as a voice, but as a feeling, as a divine urge to express. So we have this, and when Reverend Trish took us into the silence, it wasn't because there's more God there, as she said. It's because we get ourselves out of the way. And not only do we don't hear a voice, we feel the feeling. We feel the feeling of this divine urge saying, I want to live, I want to express, I want to be love, I am love, I don't want to, I am love, I am joy, I am peace, I am harmony, I am light, and I want to express it to the fullest extent that I can. Vulnerability becomes an integral piece of that, an integral piece of actualizing spirit, or if you want, heaven in our experience. Especially in this world that so often is seeking to contain us, to diminish us, to suppress that expression of light. You know, there's a book that was really pivotal for me before I found Science of Mind. I had read The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And in that very first few chapters where he talks about being domesticated, that I come in and I have three very young grandchildren. I have a young one that's only, 4 months old. He was 4 months old the other day. And he is a bundle of light. He is love, he is joy. He's just there. Of course he expresses it when, he has, needs his diaper changed or he's hungry or anything, but he's just a bundle of joy. And what Don Miguel Ruiz says is over time what happens is stuff gets put on us. By society, by our parents, by our siblings, by life itself. And what vulnerability does is it allows us to go in and take a look at that. What has been put upon us that is not ours, that's not our authentic self. It is other than love. It is other than peace and joy and harmony. And it contains us. It restricts us from expressing ourselves to the fullest. And so what vulnerability is to the willingness to take that risk. It's a risky step to take of living authentically. And what happens is when we do this, it brings into our experience the very manifestation of this irresistible possibility that is within us. And it may open us up to some challenges as we do this. So let's look at what vulnerability is. As Reverend Trish read Brene Brown, if you're not familiar with her, she is a researcher. She's a professor of social work at the University of Houston, and she has done extensive research on what makes great people great. And what she found as she was on this path, it's pretty interesting to read her books from the beginning to books like Daring Greatly, where what she found was vulnerability was the key. Whether people really knew they were being vulnerable or not, that was the key. Because that's how you get centered on who you are, and you get to know other people in a whole different perspective. So to start this journey, let's look at a definition of what vulnerability is. And what Brené Brown says is a state of emotional exposure that comes with a certain degree of uncertainty. It involves a person's willingness to accept the emotional risk that comes from being open and willing to love and be loved. So it's a emotional exposure with a degree of uncertainty, because I don't know if I take this step, how are people going to react? How am I going to react? How is the world going to react? But what it does is it allows us to explore the depths of ourselves and of others. And the fear is we're not sure what we're going to uncover. I know in my own personal journey, when I have been exploring those deep, hidden beliefs or misbeliefs, if you will, that drive some of my behaviors that I don't even know that it's driving it until I do that inner work, until I become vulnerable with my own self as to what's going on, what's mine to learn. That didn't work. What's mine to learn? That did work. What's mine to learn? So I don't just look at what doesn't work. I also look at what does work. And what I find is once I realize what it is, now I can become really vulnerable because I get to step out, both literally and metaphorically, and face the uncertainty and the fear as I change my own behaviors and thoughts based on what I found in my inner exploration. Fear is what keeps us contained, what keeps us small, what keeps us from fully manifesting that potential that we have. In Richer Living, Ernest Holmes says, there is no fear in love, and there is no liberation from fear without love. Fear is based on the supposition that we are unprotected, rejected, friendless. If the fearful mind would entertain love and the harmony and peace that go with it, it must turn from everything that denies this love. And trusting in divine guidance, opening its beginning to the influx of love, not just love of God, but love of everything, for love is all inclusive. So it's me becoming what I truly am, what's at the core of my being. And vulnerability is that first step. And when I become vulnerable, when I look at that, what it does is it starts me to connecting with myself and with others in a whole different way, So let's take a look at what vulnerability is not. It's not, I'm a doormat, come step on me. Because that was my first reaction to vulnerability. It means, oh, I'm so vulnerable. And that's why the reading that Reverend Trish read today was paramount for me to hear, that it's not a weakness, it is a strength. So it's not weakness. What it is it's a conscious choice to express our thoughts, feelings, and desires in a way that nurtures our authentic life, that nurtures the essence of who I am, that nurtures the ground that part of me can go, that can more freely express and walk freely but with myself and with others. And vulnerability is never oversharing or dumping our whole personal history on everybody around us. There was a many years ago, that was what I thought it was. Oh, you know, God help you if you sat next to me on an airplane and said, "How are you doing?" Because I would just blah all over you of everything that was going on in my life that I wanted to change but had no clue how to change it. That's not being vulnerable, not at all. I would say what it is, but I won't go there. So it's not just saying, I'm sharing all this stuff with you because I'm going to be vulnerable. That's not it either. It's not just sharing to say I'm being vulnerable, because what it is it really comes from a desire to express ourselves for the purpose of authenticity and connection. It's not just to dump it, because if I just dump it, it's going to come right back to me. I need to look at what's mine to learn. What is mine to learn in this situation? What's mine to learn? Whatever's coming up for me to go, what am I to learn from that? What is it in me that's trying to change or express? I'll also say that what vulnerability is not easy. Vulnerability is not an easy task, but when you work on it, when you use this as a spiritual tool, as a superpower, you have big rewards. And I found a quote from Ram Dass in his book, How Can I Help? He says, as we play the edge of our pain, gently opening, acknowledging, and allowing, the suffering it has caused diminishes. If we further dissolve the boundaries, letting ourselves enter into the pain and the pain enter into us, we can see the possibility of going beyond it to where the heart is freer. We've never been so vulnerable, so defenseless, and yet somehow so safe. The surrender we were so frightened of turns out to not defeat, but be a kind of victory. It becomes a victory because we get more connected with our authentic self, with our true self. When I become vulnerable, when with myself, but also with others, I begin to listen with the intention of understanding and connecting, rather than listening to hear, what can I correct this person about? How can I be right in this discussion? I listen to understand where they're coming from, and that's even in communication with myself. So why vulnerability? Why is this so important? Well, it's because it allows us to build trust and intimacy in our relationships. It allows us to foster empathy and understanding for ourselves and for others. Empathy being, I walk a mile in your shoes with you. I listen to understand, what is it like to walk in your shoes? Sympathy saying, oh, you poor thing. Empathy is saying, I want to walk a mile in your shoes. I want to see what it feels like. Is my interpretation of those. It also increases our own sense of worth. Our self-worth increases. Because what we do is we become to understand that there is this potential of the entire universe that is that which drives us, which is that urge, that divine urge that we keep hearing or feeling. And for many of us, ignoring. It builds relationships. We begin to work together in partnership in the community rather than as individuals or adversaries. We look for that common ground. We look for where can we build from here? Where do we have common ground, and how can we build from that? We increase our self-awareness and accountability, and it opens us up to that possibility of growth and transformation. So keep in mind that vulnerability is not a weakness. Even when we come to it in the face of fear and shame, it is a strength. Remember Ram Dass's quote. If we work on the edge of that pain and we allow ourselves to go into the pain and the pain to go into us, and we begin to understand it, what happens is we actually find that it's a victory, not a defeat. We grow from that. So the call is to begin to examine where we have been resistant to vulnerability, for whatever reasons. I know when I first heard that word, when I saw that that was this month's, and Reverend Trish goes, oh, by the way, you're doing the first talk. I said vulnerability, and then I felt, where in my body am I going? Oh, no, not that. And what I have found in the work that I've done as I reflect on what I have done in my own life, what I find is the more vulnerable I am with myself, and I ask those questions, what is mine to learn? And then I learn from it. Then I become vulnerable when I step out, both literally and metaphorically, and use what I've learned. Become that different person. Let go of what no longer serves me. Be brave, as our song said. And where we can look of where to be vulnerable is, where is there a chasm between who I am on the inside, that authentic self, and what am I projecting out to the outside? What am I projecting to those around me? And this is an adventure that when we take it, we gain clarity and awareness of our own connection with Spirit, with God, with the power and possibilities of the universe. And then that fuels our connection and authenticity with ourselves and with others. And so in closing, I leave you with another quote from Brené Brown. And it's absolutely perfect for the song that comes next. Vulnerability is hard and scary, and it feels dangerous. But it's not as hard, scary, or dangerous as getting to the end of our lives and having to ask ourselves, what if I would have shown up? What if I would have said, I love you? So show up, be seen, answer the call to courage, because you're worth it. Well, hold on. You're worth being brave. So be brave.
What would I do if I knew that I could not fail? If I believed with the wind always fill up my sail, how far could I go? What could I achieve? Trusting the hero in me. If I were brave, I'd walk through razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread. I never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What will I do today if I were brave? What will I do today if I were brave? What will I do today if I were brave? What if we're all meant to do what we secretly dream? What would you do if you knew you could have anything? Like the mighty oak sleeps in the heart of the seed, are there miracles in you and me? If I were brave, I'd walk through Razor's Edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread. I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? If I refuse to listen to the voice of fear, or the voice of courage whisper in my ear. If I were brave, I'd walk through Razor's Edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread. I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? Everyone, what would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave?
Thank you, Holly Keaton Dick, and thank you, Reverend Jackie, because that's what it's all about. What would I do today if I were brave? And that bravery is based on knowing who you are, on knowing what you are. That the self-examination, all those pieces that Reverend Jackie brought up and kind of put in our faces, which is cool. That's what we need, is to look at it. And so let's give her some more love. And speaking of love, how we express our love about those things that matter to us is we support them. We support them with our time, our talent, and our treasures. We give of ourselves in order to make those things or enable those things in our lives to thrive. And so Center for Spiritual Living Metro is radiantly prosperous in every aspect and expression of spiritual community. Love, growth, abundance, and overflowing good. We are a joyous and loving community. And we serve the greater Washington, D.C. metro area. And it is through the generous sharing of our members that we are able to do that, to have programs and activities. And so I invite you to take your phone, if you're using your phone, to use Givelify or PayPal, or if you have in your heart just generosity for our center, place your hand on your heart and join me in our affirmation. For those present, it is in your handout, and otherwise just join with me. I know that God is the source and substance of my supply. We'll do it in sequence, so now you can do it after together. I know that God is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously share my supply with this spiritual center. And so it is.
So it is.
And so we have music, and then we're going to have a wonderful presentation by our children. Hey, that looks good. Okay, go for it.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all the blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I
So good morning. Good morning,
On
everyone.
camera.
This is our community artwork that we did today. And so today we talked about being authentic and vulnerable. I wonder where we got that idea. So we talked about what it means to be me. And so we talked about all the different things. Who's kind? Who's generous? Who's creative? Who's amazing? Who is generous? Hey, and who is me? I am me. And I'm the only me there is, right?
Yep.
So then we talked about what a community. Can you tell us what a community is?
Come on, work by camera. No, I
Just say it out loud. Can you tell us what a community is?
A community is like a community is like a bunch of schoolfish that get together.
So it's like a school of fish that get together. We have shared ideas, right? And we believe in a lot of the same things. And so we work together. So to prove that we're a community, we did this beautiful artwork together. And all of us contributed to our art. And there is all of the things that happen in life backed by love in this corner. And here, life is a roller coaster. You go up and down and around. Whose idea was that? Yes. And then we have this beautiful idea here of be kind. It's the background for it. But then you have the heart and the rainbow. And there's all this love here. And then in the corner, you have the sun. We are all filled with love. And the tree indicates life, being rooted and grounded and growing all the time. So we had a good time, and we hope you all had a good time in your church. Bye!
Oh, so wonderful, and thank you, Gail and Diane, for leading our family program, and for the kids to be here with us is fabulous. So with that, let's see, announcements. Singing Bowl meditation is this evening. If you are coming to it, please let me know, because I set up depending on whether we are having attendance. Otherwise, I just do it for me. Okay, so and let's see what else. Oh, we have a course starting on April 11th, and I will be facilitating that one. It is one of my favorites. It's one of the most effective ones. It is a deep look, and by the way, it's totally online. It is a deep look into what's going on in your life, in your inner life, in order that you can have a more radiant expression of you. And so it's about transforming your life, and it's called self-mastery. And Reverend Jackie mentioned Don Miguel Ruiz's book, and that is key to the course and such a powerful course. And that starts on the 11th, and let's see what else. There are other things in your bulletin insert today, and so I'll read them for those of you who are not. Next week, being Easter, that's celebrated by Christians all around the world, the title is An Act of Faith, and because this is our month of looking at vulnerability, vulnerability or an act of faith is a grand statement of vulnerability. It is the willingness to step into what you are and be it. And so I will be leading that next week. And then we have the privilege, the blessing of one of the ministerial students from Kenya will be our guest speaker on the 16th. And then our annual meeting, and some people go, oh, annual meeting. Now, this is a combination of our regular Sunday and a meeting that's setting the direction for our community. And so please, please plan to be there. And then on the 30th, Reverend Jackie will be back. So I think those are it. Does anybody know of anything that I may have forgotten? Oh, good. That would be a first, wouldn't it, if I made it all the way through without something having been forgotten. So, go for it.
I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to be passionate and free. I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to be passionate and free. To be passionate and free. To be passionate and free.
Okay, for those of you in the room here with us and who are present, I invite you to stand up and read with me the affirmation, our closing affirmation. It is in your bulletin. So, okay, together. I leave this place now, knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I'm grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me, and so it is. Amen. Yay! Hello. Oh, okay.